Welcome to Master of Science with host Professor James McCanney. The good professor's career spans 50 years as a university teacher, scientist, and engineer. Each week, he will explore the rapidly changing world of science as many long-held theories are crumbling under the weight of new data. He will cover the fields of geology, archaeology, meteorology, oceanography, space science, astronomy, cosmology, biological evolution, virology, energy, mathematics, and more. So please welcome the host of Master of Science, James McCanney.
Good evening, everybody. Episode 65 in the ongoing series. Great to be here and a lot of good topics to talk to tonight. The main science topics, I'm going to be talking about how comets create diamonds. Very interesting. Now, I have talked about this before, but it's also related to how comets have X-rays. So some of the physics of comets to the sunward side. And this also branches into what they're observing with Comet 3I Atlas. Now, just a quick comment on that. I'll be commenting a little bit more on 3I Atlas, but excuse me, all of these things they're claiming are not explained by physics are against all the physics we know about comets. No. What they're pushing is the dirty snowball comet model. And it's completely bogus. That's all you can say about it. And so if you use that set of rules, it's not even physics. It doesn't even work. But if you use the dirty snowball comet model, then a comet slowing down doesn't make any sense. A comet that's putting out a regular pulsating, very high energy X-ray or other radio waves doesn't make any sense. So it's against the laws of physics, they're saying. But of course, anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. First of all, a comment on daylight savings time. I heard, this happens every year. Every time we change in the fall, flip that hour back. And the whole purpose of this is so that in the winter time, you take the hour at the end of the day and you move it to the beginning of the day. So you would have noticed Monday morning waking up, hey, it's light out again, when it was getting dark before the previous day at that same time in the morning. So the idea is that it's nicer to have sunlight in the morning. And now we're into November, just a month and a half about away from the 21st, the shortest day of the year, and then the days start getting longer again. So that takes that hour, puts it at the beginning of the day where it's much more, it's benevolent. It's a nice way of doing it. And then what you do is in the summertime, you take that extra hour in the morning, because now it's pushing back to 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning when it starts getting light. And you take that hour, you put it at the end of the day. So you don't want to wake up at 4 in the morning in the summertime because the sun's up. And if you live far enough north, that's going to happen anyway. But for the majority of people living in the northern hemisphere, is primarily where this is done in the United States. You take that early sun in the morning and you put it at the end of the day, where it's much more usable. And then you, by 9 or 10 o'clock at night, when you get in the middle of the summer, June 21st, or the beginning of summer, what we call the beginning of summer, then it's much more usable there, and it doesn't destroy your sleep in the morning. So every year people go, let's get rid of daylight saving time in the change in the fall. No, it's really handy, and there's those people would be the first ones to complain. Oh, how come it's so bright in the morning in the summertime? I can't sleep. So anyway, there are good reasons for doing it, and I like it. And I want to see it continue. That's my 2 cents worth on that deal. Okay, just a quick comment on water filters. As you may know, I have had a water filter company for 25 years. I started out with my radio show, my 25-year-old radio show, still moving on Thursday evenings. It's the James McCanney Science Hour at the Crossroads, airs from WWCR, Nashville, Tennessee. And I started out by selling water filters to pay for the airtime. It was a deal that they had with the station. And so then I sold those for a while, and then I got some name-branded filters for a while, and then I realized that I couldn't grow. There were all kinds of reasons, so I went out and developed my own product line, much, much better than anything that is in existence today, and including a whole house water filter, that's the flagship product. So jmccwaterfilters.com. Right now, the whole house water filter, the MR5 whole house water filter, amazing unit, all stainless steel, comes with 5 large 20-inch filter elements for filtering water for the whole house, is on sale. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. All the information is on the webpage, but normally it's $1,480, and that's for what we call the best deal. It's the MR5 plus the UV sterilizer, which is it's a sterilizer. We call it a filter, but it's not a filter. But it's a sterilizer, ultraviolet light to zap any bacteria, etc., that get through the MR5. But that package is on sale, normally $1,480, on sale for $699, and that is, we're moving some stock. We set up 30 of these systems to sell out at that amazingly low price. So go to the webpage, pick that up while you can, because this will not last very long. Once again, jmccwaterfilters.com, and all the information is there. You can call the call-in number. Somebody will answer all your questions if you have questions, but you do need a plumber to install it. Unless you're a handyman and know about plumbing, you can do it. It's like putting in a hot water heater. Okay, so enough of that. And then if you use gravity water filter elements, those are on sale also. Very nice pricing. So go to the webpage. Okay, jmccwaterfilters.com. This next story. Last week I made a comment. It was actually about the numbers that this show is getting. It might be like 500 a week. That's currently what it's kind of averaging. And those are views. Those are people who watch it all the way through. And so anyway, it's growing. But I'll tell you a little story. I can make this public now. When I started this particular TV show, I was approached by a group, studio, that was out of New York City, and they had probably 100 hosts that they were promoting, had in their studio, putting out their programming. And so I joined, and I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to try it out. And my show started going viral, doing very well. Within the first couple months, I was doing 250,000 views a week. Not bad. It was doing very well, and then it also was being pushed out onto Spotify and in the podcast channels, the audio channels. And so all of a sudden, something happened. Nobody knows what, but the door got slammed on that, and I got tossed out in a sense. And all of them did. I mean, it wasn't just me. The whole thing shut down, and without any reason. And it was doing very well. But my particular show was, of all of the hundreds of people, was going viral. And I venture to say, although I can't prove it, that my going viral had something to do with the demise. And I can't say that for sure, but anyway, be that as it may, then I had to reformulate and put these up because I had my own YouTube channel. I really didn't use it. So I reformulated. I put the podcast on YouTube, and then also to save it as a backup on my Patreon channel. But right now it's not growing because basically it's being shadow banned. And that is, it's very clear when a show gets up to a certain point and it's not generically growing at the proper rate, something's going on. So I'm going to give a few examples. Now, the 3i Atlas, there are YouTube channels that just started out. Nobody knows who they even are. All of a sudden, they're getting 500,000 views a few hours after the videos are released. Absolutely impossible numbers by any form of standard type of growth. And so they're violating YouTube rules. Now, YouTube, because of the generation of AI and how easy it is, people could go out to an AI engine, generate a script, maybe any length from a 1-minute short, to a 2-hour documentary, and then put a voice to it, and then put a lot of audio visuals, and the AI engine would even generate that. And within maybe a few hours, they could put out video content and using an AI voice. So YouTube banned this. They said you can't do it anymore. And so when you go through the process of actually uploading a video for YouTube, one of the questions they ask is, has this been generated with AI voice or any? There's I'm not sure how it's stated, but anyway, blocking you from uploading AI generated videos that are, especially the type that are a voice, no humans involved and no visible human, just a voice with all this audio visual. They blocked that. But now you have all these 3i Atlas videos popping up on YouTube in clear violation, also using people that they take them, you know how they can take a picture of grandma and make her old picture and make her ride a horse and have a smile on her face and talk to you. Well, they take somebody like Michio Kaku or Brian Cox, this astrophysicist from England, and they make a video out of them, and they I don't know if these people are in agreement with it or if they even know about it, but totally in violation of YouTube policy. Absolutely, but YouTube is not blocking it. So somebody is able to override the YouTube rules, and additionally, YouTube is pushing these out there while they're shadow banning other people with real content. Okay, so now I want to give an example. A number of weeks ago, and this is very recent, there were 3 young Korean women who, the movie Golden, it was the whole story of this was, I can't remember who had it, the original rights to this, but they sold it to Netflix for for no money at all almost, because they didn't believe in it. It went bananas. And the music is powerful, is amazing. I mean, it's in the whole world went crazy over this. So it immediately went 7 times platinum. Jimmy Fallon had them on his evening show, and that went bananas. The video of them singing their hit song from the movie Golden, went viral. And so here you have in the music industry something that rarely happens. These 3 very talented young ladies writing their own music, which is very difficult to get it to a script level for high production with orchestra and everything and the coordination. They did that, and then to have it be powerful music enough where the public just grabs onto it universally, and you have little kids in grocery stores singing it. When you're walking into a grocery store. It's kind of like what happened with Frozen. But anyway, these 3 Korean young ladies broke all the records of number of downloads, all of that. Ooh, Taylor Swift didn't like that. So anyway, all of a sudden, Taylor Swift comes out with a very highly produced video, and I forget, I'm not familiar with all of the music. But anyway, then she's on Jimmy Fallon's show. and it's showing the thing, the record, and all of a sudden Taylor Swift now is beating all the records that were set a few weeks earlier by the Koreans. But this is what they can do with marketing, with PR, and pushing something out. Yes, and the same way they can do that, they can do with 3i Atlas, and that's my point. The amount of coverage that 3i Atlas is getting is obtuse. I don't even know if I can find a better, maybe a mathematical word. Viral, no, going infinitely, universally viral, I'm not sure. But anyway, the point is that they have the ability to push something out in what I call blanket coverage. It's a term I've used for a long time. So 3i Atlas is getting blanket coverage, and to the point where the other day I got a call from an old friend, old lady, elderly lady, I should say. Old is not a very nice term, but an elderly lady, very nice, and lives out in the country by herself, really doesn't have much communication with anybody or anything. Calls me up and asks me about 3i Atlas and says, well, you're kind of one of those comet guys. You know about that stuff, right? What's the story about this 3i Atlas? And I'm like, this is blanket coverage. That even the elderly lady that lives out in the country that has very little contact with anything except her own little daily routines, etc., is calling me up to ask me what the story about 3i Atlas. And of course I said that this is it's a psyops, and that's what it is. It's rolling out, and it went back and forth. Is it an alien spacecraft? Oh, NASA says no, and NASA writes an experiment that can prove whether it is or not, and all of a sudden NASA goes offline, and this experiment that they proposed for when what it is actually is a comet came closest to the sun, all of a sudden NASA is corroborating this story, without saying it, mind you, without saying that they're doing this kind of through a backdoor mechanism. They're saying, well, if it passes these tests, then maybe it could be an alien spacecraft. And lo and behold, the comet passes these tests. Oh, excuse me. And so anyway, the comet is slowing down a little bit. That's a natural event of normal comets, according to the plasma discharge comet model. The nucleus is tumbling, which is common. And so what happens is as the electron beam coming in from the sunward side hits that, and it's the rotation, there's a cycle of periodicity of the electromagnetic radiation coming off the region around the nucleus of the comet. So that's going on. And then the spectrum, I heard this one also through a private communication, that the spectrum is something they can't identify any of the elements, and that's true also. That's true of a plasma discharge comet because of and I've talked about this before, the redshift caused by the induced electric dipole redshift of the non-uniform field around the nucleus. It's part of my physics of my comet model. And so everything they're seeing is actually what a comet should do. It's what they all do, except they've never really measured these things before. Okay, and that's why I want to get into the X-rays and diamonds around comets at the end of the show, the main science topic. But what they're promoting is like all of a sudden NASA exits stage left, leaves this set of experiments that if the comet does these things, then it's probably an alien spacecraft. You see how this is rolling out? And then NASA escapes and gets out of the picture. Oh, NASA is offline now. Oh, isn't that interesting? And their last fleeting comment as they leave is that, and remember, they don't say it directly. NASA, never a straight answer, never says anything directly. They either have other people say it for them or some backdoor mechanism like this that it all passed these various tests. And they don't say it, but the implication clearly is that, well, this would be an alien spacecraft, therefore. And so anyway, but the way they're pushing this out to the public is, now let's look at the story behind the story. Add in the fact that the U.S. government is shut down. And the other day, in fact, Saturday, remember that they were going to cancel the food stamps and there was going to be mass rioting and, and all of the various groups, social justice groups, were going to come marching out on the street. Well, a judge was able to extend the food stamps. I think they wanted to avoid that because they don't want that to overshadow the real thing they're rolling out here, is a false flag alien invasion. And that's what Wernher von Braun, on his deathbed, gave and released to his secretary, who has been interviewed and has released this information in the very last control mechanism that they would use. Remember, it was going to be terrorism, fighting the international terrorism boogeyman. That happened. But the very last epoch of the movement towards a new world order would be a false flag alien invasion. Now, this is Wernher von Braun talking, not me. I'm just repeating. And it looks like that's where this is headed. So you have people like Larry Ellison, who, oddly enough, was the first person to appear with Trump after Trump took office this past election, gets up on the podium and says, hey, you're all going to be under surveillance very soon. You have Palantir, the company that is moving in the United States right now to put surveillance everywhere. And isn't going to be wonderful? Larry Ellison, oh, gee, it's just going to be, the police will never be able to do anything wrong because they'll be under constant surveillance, and all the people will do everything right. If you jaywalk, I'm repeating Larry Ellison, he goes, if somebody jaywalks, they'll be captured immediately and prosecuted. There won't need to be any trial because it's on camera. This is the utopian or dystopian world that they're heading into, but they need a centralized, organized method of moving in for the whole world, the entire world. And of course, they have to get the United States into this, so the government shutdown is very essential. You look at what they're arguing over. It originally was over like $1 trillion in funding for illegal aliens. But now it's over some minor issues that really don't have any import at all. So you find out that the government shutdown really is not about what they're saying it's about. There's something else going on behind the scenes. So you wrap that together with 3i Atlas and all this rolling out. Now they're bringing remote viewers into the fray with weighing in on 3i Atlas. And of course they all go, woo, yes. They all agree that they've seen the aliens in the spaceship. It's a hollow spaceship. And, so all of the remote viewers, and if you're not familiar with what a remote viewer is a person who can telepathically go and see other places. This past week, one of them announced that, one of the remote viewers announced that he had communication with a woman, it sounded like a woman, a physicist, who worked at CERN, and he specifically said a young woman. So, and there's, of course, a lot of young women now in physics in these government programs. The DEI populated pretty well with young PhDs. But not that I have no idea who this person is, but all I'm saying is that back in the day, if you walked into a national laboratory, you probably wouldn't have seen a woman. Very rarely, and now it's much more common. And so the point is that the remote viewer was saying that the contact he had at CERN, which is in the European accelerator facility, that this woman was saying that they had developed a portal, it was called, a portal for communicating with aliens. And that when they opened up the portal to Three Eye Atlas, this is what they're saying. And I think this is all made up phony baloney. That's my personal opinion of all of this, by the way, just to make it clear. But the young scientist at CERN, woman, was claiming that they had communicated with the aliens at Three Eye Atlas through their portal at CERN, and that the communication portal had already been set up to planet Earth, whatever that means. So anyway, the point is that they're bringing in now. You have to, if you're going to convince 100% of the general public that this is an alien spacecraft and they're coming, you have to weigh in. And some people going, well, is it for good? Are they coming in peace or are they coming in war? And then you have the YouTube videos that are saying, oh, NASA has set up the World Defense Shield. And they're, what are they talking about? NASA, World Defense Shield? What are these people talking about? This is just la-la land. But at any rate, they're pushing this out there, like I say, blanket coverage. And for everybody. So they have it on Fox News. They have it on the evening news. I saw a news report from India. Yes, India. And they were talking about the same thing. Is it an alien spaceship? Could scientists have discovered this alien spaceship? And all the mysterious things and all of the unusual things going on with this, what it is, it's a comet. It's acting just like a comet should act. And right now, by the way, I remember I made a prediction. This was a long time ago, maybe a couple months ago. I did a number of shows on Three Eye Atlas, and I said when it gets out to Jupiter, it's going to turn into a sulfur dioxide comet. And that's because with the plasma discharge comet model, the tail material is drawn into the nucleus from the local environment. And when you get out by Jupiter, there's a lot of sulfur dioxide, and that actually was proven out with comet Schumacher-Levy 9. When it broke into 21 pieces and it came into the backside of Jupiter, and as the 21 pieces crossed into the realm around Jupiter, they changed from water comets, one at a time, into sulfur dioxide comets. Wasn't that special? How did they just know to turn into sulfur dioxide comets, an element that is common? And that's why Jupiter has the reddish-orange look to it. That's why Io, its closest moon, has sulfur dioxide. That's why it has that yellowish, sulfur dioxide, yellowish orange color. And this comet Three Eye Atlas will become, at least partly, may continue having water in its tail as it approaches Jupiter. And so I would suggest a significant amount of sulfur dioxide. But then again, you have to understand that when they do the spectroscopy, and this came from the James Webb Telescope, the recent announcement that the James Webb Telescope is using infrared spectroscopy to determine elements, and basically everything is shifted so far because of the intense non-uniform electric field around the comet that it's unrecognizable. They can't identify the spectrum with any elements that are known, when it's, in fact, it's all of the standard elements that you would find in a comet. There they are. They're all there, but they're redshifted. And now I've tried to communicate this with people within, specifically, the European Space Agency. There's no point in talking to anybody at NASA. They're all a bunch of, they're completely lost. Or the vast host of astrophysicists, astronomers, and physicists that reside in universities, tier 2 scientists, they don't know what's going on. They're just clueless because they think the comet is a dirty snowball comet model or a dirty snowball comet. But, okay. So enough of that. I just want to quick mention also that the Hurricane Melissa, from this past week had a very unusual path. And when they predicted, this is what amazes me, because I've worked with in around hurricane prediction for decades, literally decades, probably 25 years, probably more than most other people that work in the field. But it was manipulated, very clearly manipulated, to bring it up to, and it wasn't more than a Category 5 hurricane. When it crossed Jamaica, there were winds recorded up to 260 miles an hour. So they were able to drive that storm up to the point of 260 mile an hour winds, just unheard of wind speeds. And then it just completely destroyed those regions in Jamaica. And I don't know how those people survived, because they don't have buildings there that can withstand that kind. But actually very few people died during that storm. And then of course it goes across Haiti, another completely impoverished country, and then across Cuba, and then up into the Caribbean. But there are hints that the reason they picked that region of Jamaica is because they want to build a planned city there. And if you look at Lahaina, the regions of California that were burned, and other places that natural disasters supposedly have taken place. But the turn that Hurricane Melissa took was very much like Hurricane Katrina that was approaching New Orleans back in the day. So anyway, the Hurricane Katrina was very much a manipulated storm, and it did the same thing. It did like a more than 90-degree right turn. And we've seen this other hurricanes. Was it Hurricane Mary, was that, a number of years ago, coming up the west side of Florida, where it came down, it was going down into the Gulf. All of a sudden it makes a more than 90-degree turn and comes up to basically attack the western coast of Florida. Okay, so for the YouTube channel, I'm ending here this week, but if you want to hear the science part of this, then go to my Patreon channel, patreon.com/JMCCSCI, the same as the webpage without the com. So patreon.com/JMCCSCI, and go start at minute 32, about minute 32 into the program, and then you'll pick up the science aspect of this from the Patreon channel. And the reason I do that is because over the years, the NASA scientists have aggressively pilfered my work via my radio and television shows, my interviews, etc. So I'm not going to let them do that. And so it's going over on the Patreon channel. And I suggest everybody do that anyway, because of content. There could be a time at which this particular channel will not be available, or will cut certain information, etc. So I recommend that you go to my Patreon channel for as little as $5 a month. You can get this and other content. So we'll see you there. And if you're only going to stay with the YouTube channel, do a like, send it to your friends, send it to your enemies, people you don't like, send it to anybody on your mailing list to make this channel grow, because it's really the only place you're getting any real information on the internet. Everything out there is just repeating what everybody else said, or garbage, or stuff that people are making up. It's pretty crazy. So we'll talk to you next week.
This has been Master of Science with host James McCanney. Join us each week as James will delve into historical figures such as Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, and the great mathematicians as we explore the history of man, Earth, and our universe as you've never seen it before. Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern,